Good afternoon, Wisconsin ATV Association followers. I'm Adam Harden.
I'm Randy.
And this is another Idle Chat. Blah. It's almost the weekend. Almost.
It's close. Hey, and it's going to be spring tomorrow. Is that tomorrow spring comes?
Is it?
It is now March.
Gosh.
What is it? March
I don't know.
19th. I think March 20th. It comes in the afternoon.
It doesn't feel like it. It did last week, but now this week.
It did earlier this week.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of spring, what are the rules of riding in the springtime?
Well, it's the most tenuous time of the year because of a thing called the spring breakup. So frost is coming out of the ground. You usually get a lot of spring rains. The dirt, the soil is real unstable. So it's a time where everybody is frustrated, especially when the temperatures, are in the 70 degrees or thereabouts. And you say, why can't we be out there? Well, it's drying out. They're getting the stuff prepared. So most of the trail systems open up. Well, let me back it up. Some of them go by the road closures, where they close roads to heavy loads until the weather breaks. And then other trail systems, usually it's May 1st or April 15th. But most of them, I think, are May 1st.
And that can be discretionary, too.
It can. If they got a dry spring and warm weather, they'll probably open them up. But I had an email come in here asking me, where can I find that? And I go, well, we got many different counties. We got federal land. We got state land. We got private land. So, unfortunately, there is no one place.
The best thing to do if you have a ride planned is to call that county or call the club or
jump on their website.
Jump on the website, yep. That's the best thing to do, and that's where you're going to find that information.
Yes. Every year, everybody's antsy. It's tough to lay off the spring, but
trust me, by waiting and allowing the time for things to dry out, you will. It prevents trail damage. It prevents issues that might endanger the trail systems. So, all right.
Hey, while we're on things, if we got a little time on our idle chat, I had another. I was on our Facebook page, but a gentleman had a good question, and so I thought it might be pertinent to talk about it.
You want me to bring that up? You can read it word for word.
Well, I pretty much know. Yeah, on UTVs. Sometimes people wonder why we have nobody can drive the UTV until they're 16 and they've passed their safety certification. And logically, it tells you, hey, that's safer to ride. Maybe it's more stable than a traditional ATV. But the reason has to do with the manufacturers. When we put the UTV bill into law, we weren't sure where the industry's guidelines on that were going. So we checked with the manufacturers. They got their own group called ROVA, Recreational Off-Highway Vehicle Association. We checked with some dealers. And we knew we didn't want to go in there and mess with the ATV statute because once you open that, unintended consequences usually happen. So we left that, which says if you're age 12 and above, you've passed the safety course, the DNR safety course, you can then ride your machine. Now, if you're on a road route, you have to be with a parent or parent-approved adult, pass your safety course as well. But for UTVs, you have to wait till you're 16. And it's just where the industry is going with the machines. And I think some of their fear is there's, more road routes, and you kind of get lulled into thinking it's a car.
Right.
But anyway, we went where the industry took us on that one. So it was we weren't sure which way to go, and that's where we went. So there's that.
There is that.
There's always a reason for everything.
All right. So this idle chat, we're going to talk about two things. One is you guys went to the governor's conference on tourism.
We did.
And then after we get talk about that, we'll talk about our annual meeting coming up because it's a different location.
Yes.
We're doing something new for the first time in a lot of years, and it's going to be a big event, let me tell you. So we'll get into that later. So the Governor's Conference on Tourism, we've been going to this for a while, right?
Quite a number of years.
Yeah. And it's Well,
every year it changes location around the state. Probably close to 1,000 to 1,200 people come from resort owners to restaurants to chambers of commerce, tourism committees, et cetera, et cetera. So they have a 2.5-day conference and awards banquet, that kind of thing. But we go now for what they call the marketplace, and it's where we have a booth for the Wisconsin ATV Association, and we talk to the business owners and the folks that come around, and quite active. A lot of good conversations happen there, and we hand out a lot of material about what we do and our clubs and our riding areas and how we're a major player in the tourism industry.
And that's a big thing with tourism, especially in Wisconsin, up north and all around, that has anything to do with ATV and UTV trails and snowmobile trails. And, tourism is a big thing for those. But you got to see some high-profile people.
Yes. Well, the Secretary of Tourism, Stephanie Klett, and her, the Deputy Secretary on down, and all their folks, and the governor is there. And
to give somebody, if you've never watched our show before or heard us talk, the Secretary of DNR and the Secretary of Tourism, that's the top person. They're under the governor.
Yeah,
so
doesn't mean they're secretary taking notes. They're like the head of that agency.
Yep.
Good point.
So, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just the secretary." Well, yeah, it's the secretary. It's the highest you can go.
They're cabinet members appointed by the governor. So,
and we worked a lot with the Secretary of Tourism, the Secretary of DNR. We're talking with them a lot because our program impacts them, both DNR for trails and law enforcement, and tourism because that's what we do. So. It was a good conference. I saw some pictures. I saw you had some picture where it looked like the head of some famous people. I swear those were your bodies, though. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to put that in somewhere in here.
Some famous football players in there.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
And one actor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, an actor. So you'll want to look at our Facebook page. I'll post that in there somewhere.
Okay.
So again, we always go to this tourism conference. You got this. Or the AWSC was there.
Yeah, they didn't have a booth, but Sue Smedegard, she's probably watching this. If she isn't now, will be. So she was there representing AWSC, and we spent good time with them. And their conference is coming up this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
In Lake Geneva. We were in La Crosse for this tourism conference, but the AWSC conference will be in Lake Geneva this year.
That's right. I forgot about that. So.
Well, speaking of conferences, should we go right to ours?
The annual meeting, the big shebang for WATFA. So, like I said, we're doing something new this year. And we wanted to go along with a lot of the buzzwords around the country, around the state, economics. And when we talk economics, people look at the ATV group like, but they don't really realize what we bring to the state.
They don't.
And I'm not just talking about dollars at restaurants, but we're going to be talking about jobs. That's a huge impact, especially to the smaller communities up north that without ATV and snowmobile traffic probably couldn't make it.
Yeah, we have lots of stores that cater to, in the summer weekends when those trails open up and the spring thaw is done, and on the weekends there's a lot of traffic that's generated. There's other, from fishing to the other tourism stuff, but the ATV trail systems and businesses really are busy because of this recreational sport.
And in preparation for this meeting, we sent out a survey to business owners, including dealerships and whatnot, asking for their employment numbers and if they want to provide it, their average salaries. And the results are
pretty astounding.
Pretty astounding, right? Especially with the dealerships. Our sport supports a lot of people and a lot of money going back into the homes of those employees. So it was really a great experience to see that. We're still getting these surveys in, and we're going to put all the surveys together and have some results, and that's what we're going to talk about at the economic impact.
The Economic and Recreational Summit.
Summit. I tried to get the president here, but calling it a summit, it didn't work.
Well, you get the president of the association.
I suppose. But who's going to be on our panel?
Well, we've got some pretty high-profile folks. As you talked before, the head of the DNR, the Secretary, Kathy Stepp, is going to be one of our panelists. Deputy Secretary of Tourism, so it means the second in command, so to speak, Sarah Clavis. We have several business owners. One is a resort over in Adams County that's on a trail, so they have lodging and food. We have another restaurant serving in Oconto County, so we got 2 trailside businesses there. We've got the Washburn County Forester, and then we got Washburn County Executive Director of their entire tourism group in Washburn County. We've got Jeff Anderson from the Department of Tourism. We got Diane Conklin. She's our grant manager for DNR. We got Gary Eddy, our law enforcement personnel. So we got business, we got agency folks.
And a dealer.
And 2 dealers.
2 dealers.
Bobby from Donahue Sports Center in Wisconsin Rapids. They turn a lot of product. Bobby's been around in his family for many years. He's going to talk about that. And then Lee Van Zeeland from the Fox Valley area, and they also have a second store in the Green Bay area. So they've got huge dealerships, both of those. And they're going to be talking about their jobs and how much payroll they pay and how much the ATV, UTV industry means to their businesses, for their employees, and for their communities.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because a lot of people, when they, we're trying to develop trails and even routes, what is the ATVers? They don't bring much. Well, with this summit, we're all going to educate ourselves and really give the tools we need to back to our clubs that are going to be attending as to, here's the statistical information. You can't argue this. These are coming right from the mouths of the restaurant owners and the dealerships and everyone about how important we are to these communities. And that's really what the goal is here. But that's not all we're doing at the annual meeting.
Right.
We're doing workshops.
We have those in the afternoon. This is Saturday morning, April 11th. It's in Wausau at the Plaza, which is, last year we were in the Wisconsin Dells, and this year we're back in Wausau. So come on out. It's free to attend. We just ask that you go on our website, watva.org, WATVA, and look for the tab that says 2015 annual meeting. We just try to get a count so we can get the room set up appropriately and all the microphones appropriately. And then in the afternoon, we've got a workshop on signage. We've got 2 new sign programs to help people navigate. One of them that's a sample of the preferred routes. We're also going to be talking about trail towns and the signing that goes along with that. And then also in the snow world, we got corridors that kind of go from north to south. How do you get from this city to that city from 3 counties away? So we're calling those trailways. So we'll be talking about that and showcasing to everybody how that's going to work. So there's a lot of new things and updated things. And it's not just us preaching. It's a lot of dialogue back and forth.
And you can interact with our panelists. So we're not going to, it won't be just us talking, but you have questions about economics and other things, topic related, you'll be able to ask those to our panelists. So, and during the conference or our workshops too, it's not just us telling you about it, but if you're questioning, this is a preferred route, what is a preferred route? If you have some input on that, we like to hear that. That's what the workshops are for. And we're going to take this message too, a little off topic here, and go to our regional meetings throughout the year. And we're going to talk about the same thing for those that can't make it to the annual meeting, but
well, that's a good point. Once a year, we invite all the clubs and members and businesses, anybody that wants to come to a central location. So that's why we choose that area. As you mentioned, then we go out and do smaller versions of that, but we go to the regions. So we got a Northeast region that's coming up in Oconto County, and then the Northwest region. Let's see, where's that going to be this year? It's up in Minong.
Yes.
And then our South Central one is going to be in the Adams County area. So, again, kind of a microcosm. Although the regionals, we get to ride in the morning.
Yeah, that's fun.
At the annual meeting, we don't, but we ride in the mornings.
The last thing, on Friday afternoon.
Back to our annual meeting?
Yes. We have our Trail Patrol Ambassador class.
April 10th, yes. In the afternoon, we have almost 800 Trail Patrollers in our, I guess you'd say, inventory, folks that are signed up and going. And every year, people life's changed and they drop in, they drop out, they move, whatever. But we keep training new folks. So we actually have a training this Sunday. Then we got that Friday, and then we have one in May coming up again. So good point.
Yep. So if you're interested in doing or being a Trail Patrol ambassador, you can contact us. You can still enroll in that class for the annual meeting. And there's some paperwork we're going to do, and there's 2 levels of Trail Ambassador. There's the auxiliary, and then there's a full advanced Trail Ambassador. So, we work with your regional coordinator, with the DNR if you're an advanced, and get you set up that way. So,
well, speaking of that, then so that's Friday afternoon. Then our summit, followed by our workshops on Saturday. But then Saturday evening we have an awards banquet. So the top 10 Trail Ambassadors get recognized with some special awards, and we recognize the top 50, in different ways. And so that's always fun on Saturday night. It's pretty casual, and again, peer recognition is where it is.
Sunday is the business portion of WATFA's annual meeting. That's our annual meeting, as we have always done.
Right. Our regional coordinators report to the membership. Our DNR employees that manage the ATV program, they report, both law enforcement and grants. And we also take input from the floor that day. We've changed a lot of legislation over the years with lawmakers based on what our from the floor comments are.
And we do carry on some topics that happen on Saturday. We'll discuss them Sunday too,
right.
If needs be. But that'll be Sunday morning.
So April's a busy month for us. So 9th, 10th, and 11th, Plaza Hotel in Wausau. Jump to our WATFA website, and you'll scroll down and see all the information.
So and then changing topics, you got a ride you're going to be going to coming up pretty soon.
A ride.
The Buddha Box.
Oh, well, it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, it's the weekend before. It's actually Easter Sunday weekend. It's at Saturday over in Princeton. The All-Terrain Vehicle Riders Club out of Princeton area. It's actually 2 different charities they provide funding for as a fundraiser for a private trail system for the one day.
Yep.
They're working to get trails over there, and this is how they do it once a year. So the Buddha Box, which is a cancer support group over in that area, and then there's another, the VFW, there's a housing support unit for veterans, I should say.
Right.
And it's going to be at the VFW Hall is where we meet over in Princeton. So that's always a good time.
This year is a little bit different. Last year, all the previous years, they went out in a large group.
Yes.
And for any of us that know what it's like riding in large groups, it can be challenging at times. But I just remember going. We were there last year doing some filming, and we took some pictures as we're heading home. And I was watching this one-day trail, and it even crossed Highway 23, which for those who are familiar with Highway 23, it's a busy highway. And it was just mind-blowing the amount of work it takes for the organizers of that club to lay this trail out and to put everything together. They can put the signs up, coordinate the traffic crossings with law enforcement, and they do get help from their fire department.
Right.
Mostly because the president is the chief. But
and I should mention, too, that we just talked in the other portion about spring thaws and whatnot, but this is a one-time ride where before we don't want to wreck the trail for the season. And here it's on plowed fields and some areas that it's going to be tilled under, and it won't be ridden on again. So that's how they kind of put this flavor in this early. So it's a one-shot deal. So
it's a fun time. If you're interested, you can go to the All-Terrain Vehicle Riders website. I'll put it in the description below. I'm way over here. I'm off-centered. I don't know why I'm so off-centered today. But you can check that ride out. So, and then we do got a ride coming up, and we'll talk about this in another episode, the Memorial Day ride.
Yeah, up in Hurley this year, another parade record that Hurley's trying to go after the most UTVs, utility trained vehicles, in a parade. A couple years ago, they did it for ATVs, and this year they're going to do the UTV record. So we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, we're going to be up there. We're going to do a little riding. I'm going to have my drone up there and do some filming. So
It'll be
There's
fun.
a lot of people that go to that. That's kind of your kickoff weekend.
It is. Memorial Day weekend is kind of the unofficial kickoff. There's other rides, but the Hurley area, Iron County, way north, has kind of been noted over the years to have the first big event.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was a short and sweet idle chat, but as the season goes on and more things come up, we'll talk about them on here. If you guys want to, if you're in the clubs on any information relayed, let us know. Send it in, and we'll talk about it on our show. And lastly, don't forget our show is crowd-funded or viewer-funded through a website called Patreon, patreon.com/WATVA. And you can go and support us financially for each episode. The more support we get, the better episodes we can bring you, the more equipment, and get out and do some stuff. So the description will be, again, down here, patreon.com/WATVA.
Great.
All right. So for the Wisconsin ATV UTV Association, I'm Adam.
I'm Randy.
And we'll see you guys on the trail.
On the trail.
I always forget.